Tobias Forge. No, but seriously, I do get a lot of questions pertaining to the band Ghost these days. What I think of Papa 4, what I think of the new record, how I feel about Ghost suing a company for using the word ghost. And all of these questions usually lead to one short answer. Fuck Ghost. Seriously, just fuck Ghost to the fullest extent. But answering in that manner usually leads to another question, and that is why. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at the reasons that I don't like Ghost. But just a few things first. 1. Nothing in this video should be taken as fact. These are all just my opinions. Keep that in mind. I'm mostly just saying this so Ghost legal team doesn't take a shit on my life. But seriously, they are just my opinions. I know that this is going to be a controversial video, and I'm probably going to get a lot of hate in the comment section, but just keep in mind that if you're one of those people, I'm a better person than you. I don't give a shit if you like Ghost. I wouldn't hate on you for liking Ghost. And I would appreciate but not expect the same courtesy from you. And secondly, I used to be a huge Ghost fan. I just want to go on record and state that I was a Ghost fan from the early days. Back in 2011 or 2012, I remember stumbling across them, and at first, like many, I wasn't impressed. I saw a photo first and thought, wow, these guys are going to be fucking brutal. And then I heard them and thought, oh, okay. And about a month later, I stumbled back across them, gave them a second chance, and fell in love. I was hooked. I quickly got a lot of my friends into them, and it was always the same story. I'd show them Ghost, and they'd listen to it unimpressed, and then a week later, all we could talk about was Ghost. You better fucking believe we all had Ghost as our cover photos on Facebook. We were just entranced. The music, the imagery, the lore, the band name right down to the logo. Everything about this band was rad. It was evil without being brutal, just a completely new concept and music that didn't really sound like anything else. And for the first few years, Ghost was a band for the upper class. Finally, we were free from the butt rock leeches that had accompanied so many of our other fandoms. Typically, what happens is a cool band will start to gain a little bit of traction and be taken on tour and or do shows with other big bands. So all of a sudden, Ghost for instance, every other Volbeat fan became a Ghost fan once they played some gigs together. And when that happened, things started going downhill. But back to liking Ghost. My whole point with that was that there were no Kyles for the first few years. Just a little group of devoted people that weren't idiots. And I stuck with Ghost through their ride to popularity, through the lawsuits, and right up to the latest album. I did notice things were going south, but since I did love them so much for so long, I didn't want to accept it. I was in fan denial. So just know that I really, really was a fan. A huge fan. A super fan, if you will. So this video doesn't come from a sense of hate or a lack of knowledge on Ghost, but the opposite actually. It comes from a sense of constant disappointment and distaste for a band that literally shit on every single thing that made us fall in love with them. And no, I'm not alone. I do not personally know a single OG fan that is still a fan of the band. Every person that I was thinking of earlier when I explained my small devoted group of friends feels the exact same way about them as I do at this point. So here is why I no longer like Ghost. Tobias! Yes, the quickest and easiest answer is Tobias, but let me explain in further detail. I just think he's a bad person. I think he's a liar, and I think that he takes credit for a lot of things that he was not responsible for. A great example of this is him claiming to have wrote so many of Ghost's riffs over the years that we just know aren't true, because every time he gets behind a guitar, he can't seem to play those riffs.
There you go.
Those really, really easy riffs that he apparently created himself, but he can't play them. Doesn't matter if it was 6 years ago. So you get this. Just a second. Or 6 months ago.
And on a real guitar, like on an electric guitar, this pull-off is kind of important.
He's only trying to cover up the fact that other musicians were responsible for Ghost's success as well. And reason number 2, douchebaggery on both a personal and a professional level. Coming from multiple trusted sources in the industry, Tobias is extremely hard to work with. Unless you're James Hetfield or Nurgle, Tobias probably couldn't give a shit less about you. And this includes the writing and recording process that he's apparently so heavily involved with. According to my sources, Tobias actually spends more time at home during the creation of an album than literally anyone else that's involved with the record itself. Not to mention how he, I don't know, got a group of his friends together to form a band and then took the reins and then fired them when they asked for proper compensation. I don't really know why I got Canadian there, eh? I mean, legally, yeah, maybe he was in the right. But morally, come on. And this leads me right into my next point, which is how much the band has suffered overall since the initial Ghouls release. Ghost has declined in literally every single way possible. Can we really compare Perispera to anything on Prequel? Can we really compare Papa 1 to Cardinal Copia? Can you honestly say that any of the music videos from the latest cycle compare to Secular Haze? Even their merch is significantly lamer. What the fuck is this? Less is definitely more here, people. And if you study and compare all this shit and you still don't think that Martin Persner had more to do with the band than Tobias will ever give him credit for, then you are spare parts, Archibald. And speaking of that little plushie, wow, can we talk about how the cringe factor is at an all-time high? Especially with these fucking YouTube videos. What in the actual fuck are we watching here? They just get worse and worse, fuck's sake. And when you're blowing up, out there touring with shit bands, making cringy YouTube videos, you've got this fucking goober in charge, you're bound to have a, say it with me now, cringy fan base. I don't even want to dive too deep into this one, but what started as a band for the upper class quickly became the complete opposite. It is maybe the worst fan base I've ever seen in my entire miserable fucking life kill me. Here's a fun game. Pick a ghost group on Facebook. Join it. Browse for 5 minutes and don't kill yourself. Let me know how that goes. Let's just face it here, this group is the biggest disappointment in rock and metal in a very, very long time. Well on their way to becoming the kiss of our generation, the Tobias Forge Xperia, I mean Ghost, isn't what they could have or should have been. With the constant promise of every album getting heavier and getting shit like this.
Can you hear me say your name forever?
Or the themes supposedly getting darker but getting shit like this. With going from an evil old man that doesn't speak to a sexed out bobblehead riding a unicycle and making sex jokes for a bunch of 40-year-old whores. From anonymity to court cases, it has all been ruined. At least for me anyways. And again, I really tried to stick with Ghost. I really, really did. I stuck around for a lot longer than I should have, trying to force myself to find some sort of enjoyment from a band that I did love so much. But enough was finally enough, and I bailed. I sold all of my Ghost stuff that didn't have any sentimental value to me. For instance, I did keep the life-size Papa. There's just too many good memories in that thing, so clearly I'd like to keep that. But the rest of it's gone, and I'm just over it. So I decided to make this video to hopefully answer a lot of those questions that were out there about why I don't like Ghost anymore, or when I stopped liking Ghost, or what have you. And yeah, I just hope that that sheds some light on why I feel the way that I do about Ghost. I don't care if you guys love them or hate them, but I just can't bring myself to support somebody like Tobias, especially when he's not bringing anything worth liking to the table. You know how Michael Jackson was like definitely a pedophile, but people were so torn because he actually made good music and maybe even seemed like a good guy? Yeah, well it's not like that with Tobias. He's got no likable qualities for me to justify his actions, so there's that. Alright, I think that's going to do it for today's video. I hope that you guys have enjoyed it. Thank you very, very much for watching. This has been AJ Good at the House of Masks telling you to say no to drugs and alcohol, and until next time, we'll see you later.